Welcome everyone to the Spear Podcast. I'm Jose Trujillo alongside,
I'm Austin Turner.
and today we're gonna not only touch on football, but we're actually gonna touch on basketball too. So stay tuned in for the whole show. Let's first start off with football. Austin, the team finished 1-11 this season. Another tough season for Brennan and Co. Give us a season recap. What did you see this season from the team?
I think 1-11, obviously worse than the season prior. I think everyone would say this team was better than last season's, correct? Even though they lost 11 games, right? Obviously, the UC Davis loss to start the season looked horrible at the time. Now it doesn't look as bad. They have a legitimate shot to win the FCS national championship. You look at the games against the best teams that the Spartans faced all season. San Diego State, who had a collapse at the end of the season, but they're still a really good team. They shut down that offense. They only lost by 3. You look at the Hawaii game, who is going to be playing in a nice bowl game, 5 overtimes. You look at Colorado State wasn't a great team, but they had an amazing third quarter there. There are flashes from the season. Yeah, I didn't even mention the Oregon game. They played a great game against Oregon. Um, there are flashes of greatness from this team. It would be nice to see more consistency, obviously, next season. I think next season's kind of a make or break for not only Coach Brennan, but the football program as a whole. It's getting kind of clear that the other schools in the Mountain West Conference don't want us in the conference anymore. This team needs a season to shut them up, basically. And I'm all for keeping Brennan next season. I think this team likes him a lot. You can tell. I think he's a great recruiter. I don't know. What do you think about Brennan?
I think Brennan's a good coach. I think he needs to get. I think he needs to address maybe his. They were a lot of times very inconsistent this season, so maybe
Absolutely.
they need to get their game plan a little bit more set. Maybe he needs to evaluate his own coaching staff, see
Mm-hmm.
if that's going on. But I do think I think he is a player's coach. I think he's the type of coach that's gonna always ride with his players. He's always gonna defend his players. He's always gonna be on their side. And I mean that's for a player that's all you can ask for. But as far as fan, someone outside looking in, that's only gonna go so far. At the end of the time, you're gonna start looking past the players and the coaches' relationship, and you're gonna start looking at records. So I'm not asking for no firing, no nothing. I think he should come back next season for sure, get hands down. But I think next season is a make or break for him. They
Absolutely.
they gotta first and foremost, Austin. They gotta win a road game. Win the first road game in Brennan's era here at San Jose State. I think that should be a number one goal. Um, After that, maybe 4 or 5 wins. What do you think?
I say 4 at the minimum wins. Probably 5. He needs this team needs to see real improvement. He's clearly going to be on a short leash next season. I don't think that's a secret at all. Like you said, the players love him. Being at the practices, watching the team play, they do love him, and you can tell that they really do. Um, but I mean, like you said, that only goes so far. Yeah, the fans are fed up. Look at Twitter, and everyone wants him gone. Um, I think it's there's a lot of pressure on him next season. He needs to put some W's on the schedule. Basically, I mean, this year was a really tough schedule. You gotta admit that it was a brutal slate of games. Next year should be a little better. Week 1, playing Northern Colorado, another FCS team. If at home, if the Spartans lose that game, then I don't even know what to say, man. That would be a very bad look on Brendan, and that would make me reevaluate everything I'm saying right now. But until that happens, I have faith in him. Um, there's going to be some position battles next season. The quarterback position is still going to be up in the air. Maybe Chance LaChapelle, who got a little bit of playing time in the last couple games, maybe he will take over as quarterback, and maybe that will help. But if not, I expect Josh Love to improve a little bit for his senior year. What do you think?
I mean, I think I tend kind of disagree with you. I think it's Josh Love's team. I think it's
Think so?
his. I think it's him for sure. He's a starter, hands down. Week 1 as of right now. So it's his team. I think the bigger problem they need to address more is the offensive line.
Absolutely.
Figure something out that works. Figure out a combination. I don't know what you have to do, but that needs to be a problem that needs to be solved because, like you said, the team has playmakers. They're gonna bring back Trey Walker. They're gonna have Bailey Gaither. They're gonna
Hmm.
have Jaquan Blackwell, Tyler Nevins, Lecky Nunn. These guys have experience there. They are some playmakers, and Josh Loves. If you give him time, we've seen what he can do, and we've seen that this offense can put up some points. So I think the big emphasis is find a way to fix offensive line problem, and I think that will actually that I think that was the reason why they lost so many games,
Absolutely.
specifically the offensive line. They couldn't create a run game, and at times they couldn't protect. So if Brennan could fix that, I could see this team winning 4 or 5 games easily.
I agree with that, and I think even Brennan knows that. I mean, he's been recruiting offensive linemen like a wild man. I mean, there's tons of good talent coming in that position. Hopefully, it shores up. The reason I bring up Chancellor Chappelle is that he can run, which Joshua can't do really consistently. So if that O line isn't fixed, and also um, another thing with the O line this year is that the quarterbacks got beat up, man. Like all of them got thrashed. Like Josh Love, at least 2 concussions. I would guess probably more than that he got this year. He missed a few games. He was hurt. Um, you know,
Carrillo took some shots in a couple games.
Carrillo got rocked. Montel Aaron got hurt. Um, you know, that offensive line this year was dangerous. It really was. It was dangerously bad this year. I think obviously, and Brendan knows that, and I think they're really trying to fix that. If the team has a solid offensive line, there's gonna be a lot of new faces on that line, so it's hard to project really. But if it's solid to even average, this team will be. It will be a huge difference in the entire team.
Yeah, so Brennan, Coach Bernardi, offensive line coach, they're gonna have their work cut out this
Oh, yeah.
season, and I mean, yeah, it's football. Like we said, we keep bringing him Brennan's name, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be wins and losses, and the spotlight's gonna come down to the head coach and the quarterback, which it might be unfortunate, but hey, that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
Let's move on to men's basketball. Austin, football's done, over with. Basketball's just rolling around, but maybe not to the start that Spartans fans would hope. One in
No.
six start for the men's basketball team. What's their biggest problem so far, Austin?
Ah, man, how much time do we have? It's gonna take a while.
No.
It's shooting is the biggest problem, and I think everyone knows that um they're making 41% of their shots as of right now, 7 games in. It even looks worse than that if you watch. The 3 point shooting isn't great. They shoot 34% from three. That's not even my biggest issue. It's just making layups is an issue for this team. It seems like I wrote this in my piece I did after the Junkadoo Jam, where this team doesn't really have a number one scorer, and I think that's okay for the most part because it seems like so far they've rotated kind of who's gonna be the man in each game. And one game it's Bray Ivy's gonna score 24 points, then the next game. Christian Anigwe comes out of nowhere, scores 20. Then Greg Lasine scores 20 something. So I think if that continues, it's going to be fine. But I mean, the Indiana State game, that looked like a team that was lost. Um, they don't really have a guy that can just straight up play ISO and drive to the bucket and make a layup consistently. And I think that's a big problem for this team moving forward.
Yeah, because we've seen they can rebound, they can
Yeah.
defend the three. Um, but they can't make buckets.
Mm-mm.
And another problem, Austin, they really can't defend inside. What have you seen in the paint with the Spartans so far?
Um, defense, they're facing a little bit of an identity crisis on defense. They're switching back from zone to man very often. It's pretty worrying. Like teams will just drive right to the bucket with no one in the gap, and you can see the frustration on Prelo's face every time that happens. Just the team. I don't know if it's a communication problem because they still don't know each other super well on the court, or what it is, but just like Indiana State game the other day. they were just driving. They're just walking to the bucket and dunking on the Spartans. There were some alley oops in the game and stuff. It was just kind of ridiculous. It was like the other teams are looking like the Harlem Globetrotters at times.
Oh man, yeah, you don't want that happening. Definitely, that's going to create problems. This team's only given up 54 threes. I think at about in 7 games. I think at about a clip about under 35% around
Yeah,
there.
33%.
33%. Okay, but you look at inside, they've given
Mm-hmm.
up 146 shots and on 258 attempts for 51%. So they're gonna need to address that. Maybe a little bit more zone. I don't know, man. Figure that
See,
out.
that's what I
What's
was
gonna
saying. At
happen?
the Junkanoo Gym, they switched to the zone when they were getting blown out versus Weber State, and they made a huge almost comeback because of that. Like the zone was working; it was really working. And then against Indiana State, it collapsed, and they switched to man, and that started working. So I don't even know what the issue is there. Like that's
What do
something
you
for
think? What
prelim.
do you think is their best way moving forward, in your opinion?
Defensively,
Zone or man,
I think they. I don't even know, man. The zone
or
was.
a combination of both?
Yeah, I
You
think a
think that's the
combination
best?
of both because the zone works against shooting teams mostly, but um against teams as good as Indiana State when you're playing like against Nevada, for example. If you play the zone, they're just going to drive inside and destroy you and bully you in the paint. If you play the man, then they're going to start shooting and they're going to start playing the pick and roll. So I think it just varies on the team. I think the bigger issue is size. I don't think they're using their big men very effectively. You see Umar Berry on the perimeter a lot. You see Chastain on the perimeter a lot. I think they need to be just locked down, rim protectors. That's my biggest issue with the defense so far.
Yeah. And in terms of a of a more of an offensive punch, what do you think what do you think they can do to get more of those buckets falling in?
Um, we were mentioning before we started recording, Noah Bauman needs to play a little more. I think, right? Like he's a terrific 3-point shooter. He's shooting, 52% from three. He only has 23 attempts. I think you need to play him more, have him on the perimeter. He's
He's experienced. He's one of the Spartans. He
experienced.
was here last year.
Yeah.
You talk about You talk about Stedman, Ivy. These guys, good players, but they just came in. It's their first
Mm-hmm.
time. They're JUCO transfers, and not saying they're not ready, but maybe the spotlight's a little bit bigger here, and you playing a little bit more
Yeah.
competition. So Bauman's used to that. Bauman's used to that. He's played against them. So you're right. Play him a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Also, I'd like to see Christian Inigwe get a little more minutes as well. He's averaging 18 minutes per game. I think he will be a starter by the end of the season. I really love what I see from him. True freshman.
What does he do? What does he
he,
bring?
he he's your number five. He's a number five. In a small ball lineup, he's 6'9". But he could play, the power forward. He could play small forward as well. He is a terrific shooter. He's 16 of 25 on the season. He's shooting most of those are layups, but he's the only guy on the team that consistently knocks down layups, and I mean, that's crucial. And it seems like it's fundamentals. It seems like watch an NBA game, everyone's making all their layups basically, unless you're Alonzo Ball or something. But I mean, that's crucial. You need someone that could just consistently knock down shots in the paint. That's what Inigwe brings. He also is great defensively. He's good on the boards. I'd like to see him play more. That's another thing. The freshmen in general are playing fantastic. I think I like what I've seen from all the freshmen. Seneca Knight, even Trey Smith got a little bit of action the other day. He was amazing defensively. He was leading the zone. He looked like a senior out there. Guys like Zach Chappelle's looking solid. I would like to see more of the young guys. Not that the older guys aren't playing well. I don't think it's a player problem. If you look at each player, if you watch each player individually, they're all good. They're all. I don't have any issues with them individually. It's just for some reason as a group, it's not working yet, and I guess that's what Prelo's trying to figure it out right now.
Yeah, and it might take a while, but they
Mm-hmm.
got a couple weeks left before Mountain West conference play starts, and if they can start meshing, playing more cohesive, get more of an identity and a team identity, then they might turn this thing around, Austin. But that's gonna do it for us this week. Thanks for joining in. We'll see you. We'll see you next week with a next podcast, and we'll be transitioning fully into basketball now. So expect a whole lot more basketball coverage from the Spear.